adding value, putting their strawberries, moreover fresh strawberries, not these chemicals you get. We are employing permanent 10 workers and then temporary 5 workers. In other words, we are able to sustain the families of 10 workers, of 10 people here. These are young men, you have seen them around. And also the lives of 5 temporary workers. So 15 people are employed by this farm, which is on 1.25 acres. We are selling our milk to the bread bakery here. There's a bread factory in town. We are selling our milk to some restaurants in town. We are selling our eggs to the bread bakery. We are selling our eggs to the supermarkets in town. We are selling our eggs to all these Rolex guys, the Chapats, the Midala people along. They come and take the eggs from here. We are providing market to the farmers who grow maize, because every season this farm is using 800 bags of 100 kilos of maize. We don't have land to grow that maize. We buy it from the farmers. So we also provide business to the farmers to buy maize. What you have seen these cows consuming, most of them we are not growing. We are buying the maize gardens to process silage. We are buying the pachong. There are some farms who have got pachong napier. They sell to us. We buy and process into silage, but also give it as fresh. So we provide market for the farmers. We also provide market to the communities around with our products.
Nze Basangwa Johnson, Managing Director wa Jeka Poultry Farm. Jeka Poultry Farm eyaganibwa Bukwenge, Kamuli Municipality, Kamuli District. Mu 2007 twatandika obulunzi nga tutandikira mu Kamuli Town Council by then mu plot yali 50 feet by 100 feet. Ezo futi 5 ku 10 eda itaka. Tutandika tutya twali nga tulina ebyobufuzi wano mu Kamuli nga waliwo ensonga nga chairman wero C5 omugenzi Kawuga bamwidukira Katonda mu ekyumulo ekyemirembe nga bamutoyiremu abantu bangi abatamu application nga bali kwenda okufuuka ba chairman ba 5. President yaida yatulungamya yakoba ati bana abantu mwena timusobola kuba ba chairman ba 5, aye abantu mujje mukola emirimu egindi ng'okulunda yayogera kulunda embidi, okulunda enkoko, byonna yabyogera. Nze napikinga mu ky'okulunda enkoko n'atandika farm mu 2007 n'enkoko 5. Sawa dino wendogerera ku farm kuno tize mabega ntambwire. President yaida yankyalira mu 2010 nga ndina enkoko 5,000 yasanuka ino. Sawa dino tutambwire tulina enkoko 1,200 tufulumya amagi etule 2,000 buli lunaku. Etule 2,000 divaamu milioni 2 buli lunaku. Omwezi diva milioni 6. Omwaka tuba tuli mu bilioni ze 6 n'ekitundu etuba tukolaki tuyingiza. So tuwulirisa omulamu gwa president okuva ku kiseera ekyo twakati katukigiire. President yabaire musanufu ino ku bintu byenkoze era nga buli kaseera nkyekingako. Wendogerera kati tulina abakozi 300 betukozesa wano ku farm tuwezaawo 10. Aye business daife yeditambulira kubanga amagi twagaidulirawo outlet sinning mu Uganda. So yona eri abakozi baife wogaita omugaita betukozesa tuweza abakozi 300. So tulikubiriza abantu abandi kubanga ife twataawo omulamu ogw'okusomesa abantu okuboneka nti bava mu bwavu boona. So tulikubiriza abantu mwide tusobole okwega tweyongere okuboneka nti tukyusaku Busoga ni Uganda. Nze ndi musanfu okuboneka nti twatandika n'enkoko 5 ate saawa dino nga tuli wano. Twatandika ne plot ya futi 5 ku 10 nga saawa dino tusobola okuweza eka 27 ate nga diri ku n'ebyapa. So nze ndibakuba nti bwetunaatwala omulamu gwa President Museveni ensi edda kukyuka, abantu baidda kukola, abantu mwidda kuba bulungi nga buli muntu ayingizaku sente mu nsawo. Bino ebintu byangu byakukola. Ababikola boogera olulimi lw'omwogera Olusoga ate nga babikolera wano ku itaka lyenyu. So nze ndikuba nti tweyunge ku mulamu gwa President ensi edda kukyuka, tulobe kulowooza nti ebintu bino tibisoboka, aye bisoboka. President ajja okwogera ekintu ng'akibwoine. Era ife otuwulirisa ebigambo byayogera tukoze emirimu gino wabona nga tukyusaku ki obulamu. So nze nkoba nti mutucontactinge ni mu campaign muno President muwa obululu kubanga President alina vision eyokyusa abantu. Ate nze nabona President ayenda okutoola abantu mu bwavu, alina obulumi olw'okuboneka nti abantu be bali mu bwavu, aye ayenda okyusa abantu mu bwavu. Bino byonna byakoze bya PDM naki ayenda kutoola abantu mu bwavu. So bana tumweyungeku tusobole okukola ensi eno ekyuke. Mwebale ino ndi Basangwa Johnson wano ku Jeka Poultry Farm e Kamuli.
There are millions of them. When I fly over the cattle corridor and see the nice, well-fenced, bush-cleared farms of the dairy and beef cattle in the previous Irungu wilderness of that zone of our country, I fly over the Masaka-Raka Isembabwe area with the coffee gardens in maybe 60% of the homes. I fly over Kalangara with the palm trees for oil. I fly over the Teso area with the citrus gardens, over Bunduwijo and Mukono areas with the cocoa and coffee gardens, over the Bushenyi Sinjiro areas with the banana gardens, over the Zombo areas with the Arabic coffee, over the Bujus areas with Arabic coffee, etc., etc. You realize that our efforts have not been in vain, and anybody who downplays these achievements is an enemy of Uganda. This is even before you talk about the huge sugarcane plantations in Busoga and Bunyoro, the palm oil plantations in Maruzi, Lango, the sugarcane plantations in the Ruweru and Nakasiki areas, or the Kayunga areas. Have you seen the magnificent tea estates in the Toro, Ankora, and Kigezi areas? With the tea, there is the temporary problem of low prices. However, the people in the tea sector have assured me that the price is only affected by the failure to use fertilizers and bad picking methods. All this is just in the commercial agricultural sector. How about manufacturing and services? Have you heard that Uganda has now got more than 50,000 factories, employing over 800,000 people? The services sector has created 6 million jobs, and the hotels now have 150,000 hotel beds. The commercial agricultural sector is now employing 3.8 million people. The IC sector is employing 2.3 million people. These figures have been given to me recently by finance. There were others which had been given, but they say these are the correct ones. Therefore, the issue of wealth and jobs has solutions for those willing to listen. The issue of free education started well in 1997, and it worked well for some years. The number of children A total of 20 million children got free education for primary and secondary schools. Then the local elite came in and started extracting money from the poor families for commercialized education. That has led to the children dropping out of school. You can check district by district the completion rate between the primary and the secondary school bridges and thereafter. This betrayal will be defeated with adequate budgeting for teachers enough in numbers to remove the pretext by the local elite of saying that they are milking money from the poor in order to hire more teachers. I'm providing completely free education at my skilling hubs. Yet my effort is more costly than the UPE USC option that ought to be day schools because they are near the population, unlike my hubs that can only be boarding because of distances. The whole education system will now emphasize the issue of skills, emyoga. The pre-colonial Uganda was of communities of emyoga. Abarisa, cattle keepers, Abahinji, cultivators, Abahesi, blacksmith, Abatanaji, bow and arrow makers, Abanogozi, the clay users, Abaremi, the shoemakers, Abakomaji, the backcloth makers, Abajenji, the surgeons, Abafumu, the healers, Ababunji, the bone setters, etc., etc. Yes, there were administrators, Abami, chiefs, but there were few. Not the colonial and neo-colonial distortion when the non-wealth creators are in hundreds of thousands, while the wealth creators are not as numerous as they need to be. It is therefore correct that the education system goes back to the strategy of modernized emyoga. Part of the health strategy, although partially implemented, has worked very well. This is the strategy of prevention through immunization, hygiene, good lifestyle, nutrition, safe water, etc. Although it is only immunization and safe water that have really been worked on, it has improved the average life expectancy from 43 years to 68 years. However, there is the problem of curative that is still outstanding. That problem is tied up with the problem of obtafayo, not bothering with important things. It is tied up with the issue of corruption. I happen to have been here in the times of the British, the time of independence, and after. In all that time, I saw the corruption of the public servants. That is the chiefs, the veterinary personnel, the medical personnel, the school teachers, etc. When we were in the bush, I told the NRM leadership that we could not trust the public servants to serve our people honestly. I therefore proposed that we add our own structures elected by the people to supervise the interests of the people. You have that power to elect the LC1s, LC2s, LC3s, LC5s, members of parliament, councillors, etc. These are the ones to report corruption and other misconduct in the area, especially the ones being paid by the state. Those are the LC3 chairperson, the member of parliament, and the LC5 chairperson and other officials. What has happened is corruption, land grabbing, etc., happening in Congo or Uganda. If it is happening in a locality in Uganda where there is a galaxy of all those elected and paid leaders, why do they not expose the problem? Yes, the government has another galaxy of actors, accountants, auditors, etc. We shall continue trying to bring them to Jesus Christ and Muhammad for salvation, to save them from corruption, and also axe the incorrigible ones. However, when my strategy of the LC system works, it will be a game changer. Recently, near UGSOUND, I engaged some buzzwords there that were talking about corruption. I told them to elect serious leaders, serious people that guard their interests, the interests of the people. That was why the LC system was designed. Finally, on the issue of political competition and law and order, politics is not about the livelihood of leaders. To solve the problem of jobs for some people. It is about the destiny of peoples. That destiny is guided by principles that arise from the analysis and the determination of how the respective societies can be safe and prosperous. In the case of Uganda, in the 1960s, our student movement disagreed with the sectarian politics of that time of religion and tribe. We eventually distilled our principles of love, Uganda, patriotism. Why? It is because you need it for your prosperity. If you are a wealth creator and not a parasite, you need Uganda as a market for your products. Banyankole do not buy my milk. They do not buy my beef or buy my bananas because they are producing similar products. It is the people of Kampala that buy my products. I also buy the products from other parts of Uganda. Sugar from Busoga, Buganda and Bunyoro, vegetable oil from Karangara, textiles from Buganda, etc. The second principle is that we should love Africa, Pan-Africanism. Why? It is because the internal market of Uganda is not enough. However, we cannot benefit from these two markets unless we undergo socio-economic transformation by migrating from Okoro Echida Kyonka to working for Echida, the stomach, and Ensao, the pocket, with Echibaro, Chura, Aymar, Otita, the calculation for profit. Then the fourth principle is democracy. It is people that believe in these principles, which is the only way to prosperity, that I associate with politically. It is unprincipled for one to fight somebody that fights these principles. Instead, you should discuss among those who believe in these principles to determine who should represent us here or there according to the suitability. The moment you see political positions as a means of living, you then become a problem for your country. Since 1971, we left well-paying jobs to fight Idi Amin. Why? It is because we were sure that he would block our vision of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. Previously, we had been massaging Obote because there was a possibility that he could move with us on Pan-Africanism. For example, the East African Federation. Therefore, the political actors should stop the pseudo-politics of me, because it is not only barren, but very destructive for countries. On the issue of law and order, you have been seeing the indiscipline and anarchic conduct of some of the opposition, guided by the wrong politics in their heads and prompted by parasitic foreigners that back them. They make many mistakes. These include transporting audiences to create the image of big crowds at the venues. Those arrested following Mr. Kyagulanyi at Mile 4 in Mbarara confessed that they had a fleet of possibly 200 vehicles transporting those nomadic audiences. You then have the Kyagulanyi schemes of causing chaos in the country on behalf of the foreigners that fund them and back them. Mr. Kyagulanyi and his evil foreigners that back him fail to understand that Uganda is a land of spiritual and political matters. The spiritual matters like Karori Rwanga, etc., the political matters like Rutamaguzi are very good examples for the present generations. Many Ugandans, especially those that have been with the opposition, get flabbergasted by those schemes and link up with us and peacefully dissolve those schemes. Do you remember Taja Kulaira? Do you remember Gen Z plan for the 4th of July, 2024, for the riots like those of Kenya, etc.? Do you remember those? They were rejected by the people. Have you noticed the number of NUP flag bearers for parliament that are pulling out? The criminal opposition must also stop intimidating Ugandans. You have no right to intimidate a Ugandan. Therefore, Ugandans, come out and vote. Nobody would intimidate you or endanger your security. Anybody who tries will have himself to blame and will end up badly. The future of Uganda is bright. Our first oil will come out next year. Regarding the police methods, I reject the practice of caning lawbreakers. Some police forces in the world do it using batons. I, however, reject it. It must stop. Teachers and parents used to cane us, but it was a wrong method. However, using tear gas for rioters is both legal and non-lethal. Doesn't kill. It is much better than using live bullets. However, the police should be more methodical if they are to use tear gas or water cannons or other non-lethal techniques by, for instance, requesting in time the bystanders to move away before using tear gas and other anti-riot non-lethal methods against the rioters. The police should use loudspeakers to warn people and give people time to pull away. I have been busy campaigning and have not been following the antics of the opposition actors. I have, however, heard that the mobile audiences of Mr. Kyagulanyi have been looting people in some cases. I last heard of the attacks on people I talked to myself in Abim, Karamoja. These ones I talked to myself, who were attacked by the gangs of Mr. Kyagulanyi. Uganda is secure. Go out and vote. Uganda and NRM are unstoppable. Happy 2026 and beyond. Thank you.